I'll tell you what, folks. I couldn't wait to get Coach Edwards on. And, I listen, he's not only just a Eagle legend. We are one of the most watched shows in Philadelphia right now, and we really appreciate that. And we have a lot of people that watch us and a lot of Birds fans. This guy had obviously one of the great moments, and really he was at the forefront of building what would go on to be a contender with Coach Vermeil each and every single year in the NFC. And what you saw last night was, I think, an important game for the Eagles with that young defense. You had a lot of young football players, an old coordinator in Vic Fangio, who the young players are assimilating to. Remember something. When you're a coach, age is not the factor. I have to buy into you and believe you. It's called blind faith. When Coach Edwards is my D coordinator, and I look at him and know the success that he's had around the league and as a player, I'm going to look at him when he says, hey, look, we're going to play 2 high safety. We're going to play 10 yards off the ball because that's today's NFL. I got to look at him and go, okay, I believe Coach. Because if you don't, guess what? That's what happened in Miami last year to Vic. The veteran players like Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey didn't buy into it. And that's why they stunk in the secondary. Well, these young kids are buying into an older guy who's been in the league 45 years. All that being said, I can't wait to talk to him about Jalen Hurts and about Jaden Daniels. Last night was a learning experience for Jaden Daniels. That's learning. NFC East game for first place, he'll be better. I'll tell you why. Joe Theismann said it a couple days ago, that he has changed the culture in that Washington locker room. Let's get to Herm now and Coach Edwards now and get his thoughts. Hey, Coach, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Listening to a little bit of your show, and you're spot on about the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They have a big-time defense. They're playing really well. I mean, it's a young secondary, but when you watch them play, they're trusting coach. There's no doubt about that. They're second in the league, in total defense. And what's good about them, they don't give up a lot of points, and they got an offense that, in my opinion, has finally committed to the runner. They've committed to Saquon Barkley as our best player. We got to make sure he can touch the ball at least 30 times a game. And running's hard. It really is, because you can run in there and only make a yard or two, and it gets boring. A lot of these offensive coaches, they get tired. So I can throw a pass for 10 yards. But if you just keep hammering away, the result of it is what happened last night. We watched it unfold. He touched the ball about 28 times. I've said a couple times in the studio, he should touch it 30 times. I'd give him 25 as a runner, and I'd throw it to him 5 times and let him really set the table for the offense. He's very explosive. And once he gets in the back end of your defense, it's we receive, because he's going to score. You can't catch the guy. But I like the way the Eagles are playing right now. That was it was a slow starting game, but I thought, for the most part, if this is who they are, and they finally realize, we got to go through the runner first. And we'll get the receivers involved. We'll get the tight end involved. We'll get all that. But it all starts with the running game. Let our offensive line establish the line of scrimmage, because they got a good offensive line. They can make hay doing that.
Coach, can you win with a quarterback that's inconsistent, though, like Hurts is? I mean, last week in the first quarter against Dallas, 5 sacks, 2 turnovers, and it was just inconsistent. Then they, like you said, got committed to running the football. And by the way, I think he's dynamic when he's out in open space like Lamar, when they run the ball, and they're committed, like you say, in running the football. And last night, again, 10 missed throws. I mean, it was up and down in the passing game all night long. Then when they went to Barkley, like you said, I mean, Coach, it's not that I'm saying he's a bad player, but what I'm saying is his highs are so high. He'll throw a dime, and then he won't hit the broadside of a barge for 2 plays or 3 plays. That kind of matter, especially when you get to the playoffs. His inconsistency is my issue right now, and sometimes his accuracy. Can you win with a dominated running attack and a defense a Super Bowl?
Well, you can. I mean, as long as he doesn't do this, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. See, the defense will keep you in the game. When they're not scoring points, you can have some inconsistency offensively. You don't have to score every possession, right? Because your defense is they're keeping you in the game. the game's not getting away from you. And that was the game in the first half. I mean, you look at the score, right? I mean, it was 7-3. Well, okay, defense gave us 7 points, but it's 7 points. So we're good. I mean, we're still in this. And in the second half, they got going and obviously scored 20. The defense did a nice job holding them to 11 points total wise. But yeah, the Jalen, for some reason, it looks like at times he's like trying to guide the ball. He's just not letting the ball go. He's not trusting what he sees, and I don't know if that's because he has thrown some interceptions and he's hesitant about, I don't want to turn the ball over, but we got some football left. And, this was a good test for him. And I think says a lot about Washington, starting a rookie quarterback and Jaden Daniels, who I know very well. All of a sudden, he's hit a couple rough patches now, right? And so that's football.
Coach, again, too, I mean, to stay on the Eagles and your forte being on that side of the football with defense, I got to tell you, man, Vic Fangio brought that 2-eye safety in. And, I had Coach Wannstedt on, and we were talking about it. He coached me at both the Cowboys and in the University of Miami. And that 2-high safety, not a very aggressive, but I'll tell you what they did do. I mean, he is a master at finding linebackers. As you know, when he was in New Orleans, he had Vaughn Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Ricky Jackson. He had St. Mills. He had all those guys. So he can spot talent. I mean, it's remarkable on where they were a year ago. They were 29th or something like that, or 30th in pass defense. Now they're number 1 overall defense. I mean, the young guys are buying into that. I mean, it's crazy, but what an impact that he has made. Is it scheme, coach, or is it players?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I do believe this. When you mentioned his linebackers, he knew he needed to go out and get some linebackers that could tackle in space. If you're going to play what we call Tampa 2, they call it safety high. It was Tampa. That's Tampa 2. I mean,
right.
Today. You've got to have linebackers that can really tackle in space, because the ball, when you play 2, basically what happens is you take the vertical passing game away. You can't throw it vertically. You're going to stuff the receivers out. So where does the ball go? The ball goes in the middle of the field. You got to attack the linebackers, right? And the 2 linebackers, they got to be able to run and hit, and they got to be able to tackle in space, because you get a lot of balls coming inside, right? Along with the run game. You're a little light in the box, because you got 2 safeties high, so you're not 8 in the box anymore. That's not happening. So all these things come into play, and I thought those linebackers were magnificent last night. They made a lot of plays, boy. You could, they were running and hitting, and I was like, man, okay, I see what he's doing. I mean, they're starting to trust it. They're starting to believe in it. You always want a little bit more out of your pass rush, But with that being said, if you take the vertical passing game, most coaches are not patient. When they can't hit a big one, they get greedy, and then they do something silly, and then you intercept the ball, or you get a sack, or you cause a fumble. So that's how that defense works, really.
Coach, one more question on the Eagles here, and I want to get over to Jaden Daniels here.
Sure.
Saquon Barkley, I said this about him in New York. I mean, I didn't see the second player taken. I just never saw that there. And now with him being in Philly, if he had played his entire career in Philadelphia, coach, he's probably in Canton. I mean, I don't know how, if you're not the Giants, you're Joe Schoen, or you're even John Mara. I mean, how you don't look at that and go, holy cow, we never put a team around him. Coach, are you shocked? I mean, he's like found the fountain of middle age here. Same thing with Henry in Baltimore here.
Yeah.
Players, he's around better players, I guess, really now that's really bringing out his talent and skill set.
Well, obviously, because the problem is, they've got Goddard at tight end. They got, Brown and Smith at receiver. So they've got some talent, and you got a quarterback that can run, all these things. And you got a good offensive line, all these things. It's not all on his shoulders, and so he's sitting there looking at all this and going, man, okay, all I got to do is just kind of do what I do. And I don't have to carry the whole team, because there's enough people around me that can make big plays, right? But I think they're finding their niche now with this offense, because it at times goes in a lot of different directions. It's like, what are you trying to do? Just let it go through the runner, and everything kind of fits now. It looked like it was a nice plan last night. It looked, And Washington's got a big front. They can, they got some big guys up front, right? Now, they're not the greatest defense, but they've been playing good because Jaden's making plays for them, getting them excited. But I thought they were very patient. They didn't abandon the run. They kept making sure the 26 was going to touch the ball. And lo and behold, you could just see it. It started cracking. And it cracked a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, boom, a big run. Then all of a sudden, the offense took over. It was like, okay, here we go. Now we're rolling. So I think it's work in progress, but they're headed in the right direction.
Let's go over to Jaden Daniels. I had Joe Theismann on the other day.
Yeah.
And he said this about the kid. And I told him what you told me. And he said that, you know what, Coach? He echoed the story that you said, because I said, Coach told me that walked into his office, the kid's almost in tears. And he goes, Coach, you're not going to be here at Arizona State. I'm going to I said, you know what Herm said? And he goes, let me tell you what Jayden said. He goes, I want you to. I understand this. I get it. And he said this. He goes, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. He goes, he didn't want to leave, Coach, because if you had been there, he was going to stay there with you. And then he went to LSU. But he said that kind of stuff has resonated with the changing of the culture that they have in Washington right now. Are you surprised with the success you're seeing? By the way, Joss called him the greatest rookie prospect that he's ever seen in his life. Now, the last two games have been a little bumpy. Now, two great defenses, Tomlin's Steeler defense, and now you got Fangio's Eagle defense. So, that's a learning experience for this young quarterback here. Just give me a little sense of what you see so far with him this year.
Yeah, and he's the guy that's always in search of knowledge. What he's going through, I think it's just part of the transition of a young rookie quarterback, and he started out so fast, people just thought, whoa. And I said this, he's going to hit some bumps. But the thing about Jayden is he's never too high, he's never too low. He processes all his information. Very smart, articulate, all about the team. That's who he is. He's dynamic. I told him when I first had him, I said, and I hear the comparisons. Lamar, no, I tell people all the time, he's Randall Cunningham. Same attributes that Randall had. Same height. Randall weighed 5 more pounds than him. But Randall threw the ball exceptionally well down the field. Could run when he needed to. Very athletic. Jayden, he likes throwing the deep ball. That's his deal. He can throw the deep ball, and we did it a lot in college. He had some really good receivers. Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall. A kid plays for Philly, played for us before he went to Florida. Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson was one of the guys too, right? He was on that. He was on that team. He was in. I had a bunch of guys now.
I
had about, Jack Jones, the corner with the Raiders. We Rashad White that was our runner. He was down there. So we had some guys, and it was a fun team to coach with all these guys in college. And you could tell they had the ability and the talent to go to the NFL. And I'm happy for all of them, but especially for Jayden. He came in as a freshman, and after about the first week of practice, I can remember walking in the offensive meeting room and saying, okay, we got a senior quarterback, we got a junior quarterback. And I said, I just posed the question. I knew what I wanted. And I just said, what do you guys want to do? Well, there's competition. I said, yeah, but I tell you what, what's the real competition is this. You get 5 ready to play, because his number was 5 in college. I said, he's going to be the star quarterback, guys. They said, we're going to start a freshman? I said, yeah, we're going to start a freshman. Because my eyes tell me he's his best player. So let's just start him, and he'll figure it out.
I love that, Coach. And, Coach, how important was it? Theismann said this, getting a guy like Kingsbury who knows that type of skill set when you had he had Kyler Murray, he had Patrick Mahomes, he had Caleb when he was at SC, he was a coordinator there. And now he's in Washington with him. How important was that for his development, you think?
Couldn't be a better fit. And I know Cliff fairly well. Cliff actually, he played for me when I was with the Jets head coach.
Huh.
So we go way back that far. And the funny part about it is, I was telling people sometimes, quarterbacks and offensive coordinators got to be married together. They got to be on the same wavelength. Well, Cliff was the head coach at Arizona when I was at Arizona State with Jayden. So he saw Jayden every Saturday. He knew what he was getting. When they drafted him, he knew. He said, I'm getting this. I watched him for 3 years. I've been watching this guy. I know what he is. I'm good, right? And so I think it's a perfect match for him where a coordinator understands who this guy is. He's watching for his whole college career. Now he has him in professional football. So I just think it's good for Washington. They needed something like this to get that fan base excited. It's good for the NFC East. Now the Eagles and the Cowboys will figure it out. They're gonna figure it out eventually. I know they're down right now. We don't really care in Philadelphia about that. But you really do want good Cowboy teams. It makes us much more interesting and more competitive in our division, right? When the Cowboys are relevant, at the end of the day, it's even more fun to beat them when they're relevant. It's like, okay, we beat the Cowboys, right? I mean, now they're struggling right now for a lot of reasons, but hopefully they get that thing fixed.
Couple last questions here for you, Coach. When you're watching players like Lamar Jackson and you're watching Josh Allen, you're watching Jaden Daniels, and you're watching players like that, when they're coming out of college, do you think they're being more prepared today than they were ever before when they're making that leap? Because as you know, Coach, in college, you're told where to throw the ball. In the NFL, you have to know where your pre-snap sets are and what your landmarks are. Do you think these kids and why you're seeing less bust coming into the NFL today? I mean, the COVID year aside, but that whole entire crew was not very good. Right. But when you're seeing most of these guys come in, look at Bo Nix, even Drake May, you're starting to see Caleb's kind of a bumpy start to Chicago, now going through a new coordinator up there. Do you see these kids being better prepared today?
Yeah, and it starts in high school. These guys have been throwing the ball their whole life. It's nothing new. It's just a matter for me, and I always tell people, it's the fit of the coordinator and the quarterback. When it's not a fit, it's bad. Bad for all parties, right? It's just bad. And I've always said the systems are fine, but remember, players come before the system. And if your system is not flexible enough to acquit and to provide the player an opportunity to play, to use his talent, you got a flawed system, to be quite honest, right? I mean, example is when I went to Kansas City as a secondary coach, with Barty was there, and we got Joe Montana, and we ended up getting Marcus Allen. We had a pretty good group, and we drafted a kid by the name of Dale Carter out of Tennessee. He was a safety.
Tremendous.
The most talented player I've ever coached.
Wow.
Wasn't even close. Of all the guys I've ever coached, he's the most talented.
Wow.
And so we get him, first round pick, and we on defense we're playing double digit coverage. It's like they motion, they shift, we can check to another coverage. And Dale's going to start as a rookie. He's that talented. And about the first week, I tell Marty, I said, Marty, he can't process all this, man. And he said, well, what do you want to do with him? I said, Coach. I said, like this. He said, what's that? I said, that's cat coverage. He said, cat coverage? I said, yeah, just tell him to go cover his cat. Just go press the guy. Just cover the cat. Now, we had Neil Smith. We had Derek Thomas. The other corner was Albert Lewis, right? And Kevin Ross was one of the safeties. And we had a group now. We had some really good players.
I think Cherry was on that team too.
Yeah. And so we're sitting there, and he said, cat coverage? I said, yeah. I said, Marty, when they break the huddle, just tell him you got number 82 to go cover the guy. And Marty looked at me and says, can we do that? So we can do whatever we want. It's our defense. And that's what we did. And I tell you what, but it's an example of you got a talented player and you got to get him on the field and you're doing all, and I said, he can't do that. Well, then we got to be able to adjust to this guy because he's really good and we want him to play, right? So it's just, that's what it is, right? I mean, it's just, and I've done that with numerous players, John Lynch.
Yeah.
John Lynch, I mean, when we went down to Tampa, he was there and they had him playing linebacker. In the defense they had, I said, no. I said, linebacker. You're going to be the strong safety, man. This is what we're going to do with you. Worked out.
Coach, I gotta bring this up to you here, okay? Sure. I'm going to kind of go behind the curtain here a little bit on you because Alfredo Roberts was a teammate of mine. And
Alfredo, yeah.
Oh, wait, no. Hang on here now. And so was Carl Dunbar. Those guys, and Kevin Colbert is a dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
Is it true Mike Tomlin has asked you to be at one time, did he ask you to join that coaching staff in some way as a consultant or any way you wanted? Didn't he want you after Arizona State to come aboard there in Pittsburgh? I mean, Coach, I if you say no, that's fine. If you say yes, that's fine. But I happen to know Mike Tomlin pretty well, and I heard a rumor because I told him I'm getting you on, and I'm like, and Alfredo goes like this. Ask Tom. He goes, go ahead. Ask Coach Herm if Mike called him and said, hey, you want to come up here, man? It's up to you.
No, I don't need to go up there. Mike's doing good. I think Mike is funny. When I was in studio, and I can remember when Russell Wilson and obviously Fields were there, and everybody was hollering about, well, why is he going to start Russell Wilson? And I looked at people in the studio. I said, first of all, are you questioning his judgment? No. I said, he knows the team better. I said, you know why he's going to start Russell Wilson? I said, because they need a lift in the passing game. They need to make some explosive plays. He knows he can't survive this with an offense that's just methodically goes down there. He needs a guy that can throw the ball down the field. And lo and behold, here comes Russell Wilson. And, then they get Mike Williams, and I'm going, here we go. And we know they can play defense. We know they're going to run the ball.
Coach, he looks like Seattle Wilson now.
It's the same offense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why wouldn't he do that? Now all the Pittsburgh fans have gotten quiet again. I'm like, are you kidding me? The coach knows what he's doing. Just let the man coach and let Russell Wilson cook.
Absolutely. Coach, do you miss it in any way?
I miss the players. You miss the player. You miss being in the huddle, right, with the guys, when you've done it your whole life. That's what I tell people in life. Your life is about a huddle with your family. And when you're a football coach or a player, it's with those players and the staff members. You're in a huddle, man. You're in this nice huddle, and the outside noises are trying to influence the people in the huddle, and you just bat them away. And but I'm at a point in my life where I'm 70 years old. I'm still fit, nothing wrong. I got a daughter that just left.
You look younger than me.
Well, I got a daughter that's in Texas. She wants to get into TV. She's working for the football team. She's on the sideline doing film work and all this kind of stuff. I got another one that's going to be a senior that's about to go to college. So, I'm enjoying myself. I'm good. I really am. I'm a place in my life right now. I'm good. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the little TV I do. I like talking to guys like yourself. I just enjoy that, talking about football. I'm good. I don't need to worry about the score anymore. I'm good.
Coach, I have to ask you one last one here. I want to sneak win in on you here. Talk about changing culture. Like, what a perfect guy for Jaden Daniels to be around yourself. When you were in Philly and Vermeil's there, and that thing had been a perennial loser for a decade, and it was going nowhere. When did you know that you guys were turning the corner? Because I heard a story, Coach Dungy, who's been on the program, great friends with, and he goes like this. He went like this to me. He said, we were 0-8 one time in Tampa. And he goes, I'll never forget looking at the players' faces. They were like, damn, we wanted to win for them so bad. Coach Dungy looked at him and said, what you guys don't understand, you're this close.
That's right.
You're this close.
Yep.
You're this close to being what you want to be. And they would go on, obviously, and build that thing into a Super Bowl.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But, Coach, when did you know in Philly as a player when that moment was when you went, holy cow, we're turning the corner?
We knew in 77 when he was going through the transformation. He was already there in 76, and it was an old group of players, and there was this transformation he was going through, and he was getting rid of a lot of the old guys and bringing in young guys like myself and a bunch of guys. And then 78, that's the fumble. All of a sudden, it's amazing what players will say. We say, we finally won a game that maybe we shouldn't have won. And that got us over, and it just kind of clicked. We went, here we go, boys. And then we started making our run. On a play like it was like, people don't realize what that did for our organization, for our players.
I remember as a kid, my uncle was the GM of the team, Andy Robustelli, for the Giants. And I'll never forget watching that game. The game's over. I mean,
No.
all Pisarcik has to do is just kneel down, and out of nowhere, as you know, the NFL, it's shaped round, and it's why it bounces the way it does. Coach, when it hits your hands, did you what?
No, when I saw it hit the ground and I came across the line of scrimmage, because everybody thought they were going to take a knee again, and Kodar didn't even block me because Zonka didn't. Zonka, there was a box handoff to Zonka. Kodar didn't block me. I shook his hand before the play started. Say, man, we'll see you in a week because we're going to play those guys again in about a week or so. And we're just sitting there chatting, and then Joe got nervous to put the clock because he wanted to play. Some of the play. See, Joe Pisarcik, listen to this story. Joe Pisarcik ends up coming to the Eagles. So he went with us to the Super Bowl. Great teammate, great guy. So he tells the story from the other side of it, what was happening. And the week before, they called the play. He didn't do it. The coach got mad at him and said, hey, when I call something, I'm on the bench here. And so he goes in the huddle, and the coach says, well, we got to run one more time. And the players are saying, no, man, take a knee. And Joe said, no, man, we got to run this play. And Zonka's back there, and I actually saw Zonka. He's standing there, and Joe's kind of looking back at him because the 40-second clock's running down, clacks the center, and Zonka kind of nods his head like, no, And I'm like, this is kind of interesting. And all of a sudden, the ball is bobbled. It comes off the snap too fast. And Joe tries to turn around and give it to him, and he hits his hip. Kodar doesn't see this. He's looking at me. So I go around Kodar, and I'm saying, if I can get it on the first bounce, I got a shot. I get it on the first hop. I'm running. Here's the crazy part about this story. Dick Vermeil's on the sideline. His back is turned away from the play because he's getting the players, Carmichael and all the guys saying, we might get one more chance. This is what we're going to try to do. And players are leaving. They're running past him. And he grabs one of them. He says, where are you guys going? He said, Coach, Herm just scored a touchdown. He says, what? So he turns around. I'm in the end zone. He never saw the play live.
What a great the miracle in the medal. One of the greatest plays in pro football history, Coach. And you are the centerpiece in that. What an incredible, absolute moment again in football history. Coach, thank you so much for being here. Hey, are you enjoying going around speaking to people and talking?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good. I talk about leadership and obviously team building. I was in Chicago, and then from Chicago I went to San Diego, and I'm at home now. And then now I'm headed tomorrow. I'm on an airplane. I'm going back to Bristol. So I'm in Bristol on the weekends. I always come on Sundays and Mondays, right? And, Tuesdays a little bit, and then leave to come back home. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and you can talk about football.
Do you still root for the Eagles?
Oh, they know I'm. They look. They know I'm green. And here's the funny part. And I'm getting along with you. So my daughter, she boils it down to 5 schools at the end. She can go anywhere she wants, but she boils it down to 5: Notre Dame, Michigan, Cal, where I went. Texas, what was it? There was another one. So we go to Notre Dame. I wanted to go to Notre Dame. My wife wants to go. No, we're Catholic. We're like, good. She talks to coach. Coach is so nice. He's talking to her for about an hour. And I'm like, huh. And we leave there and I'm going, we're good, man. We're really good. Then
she went to Cal.
No, she goes to Texas. So she says, I'm going to Texas, Daddy. And I looked at her. I said, honey, do you know what team's in Texas? She says, I know, Daddy, the Cowboys. I'm going, yeah. I said, you can't go to Texas. I'm laughing. But Coach has done a great job with her. She's working for the football program. She couldn't be in a better place. The AD's fabulous. I know all the folks down there. But I'm like, you're going to Texas? Really? It's like, it broke my heart, man.
I can just see you, Coach, when you're flying around. Can you talking to the pilot going, hey, can we miss Texas and fly through Oklahoma?
There's something about them Cowboys, man. When you're an Eagle, there's something about them Cowboys.
Absolutely. Coach, have safe travels. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure, my man. Anytime you need me, brother.
You bet. That is the great Herm Edwards. And wow, what a great conversation with him. You can see, too, man. Eagle through and through. You see that? Hey, by the way, did I hear him say that he's holding the ball too long too? Your cab driver? Huh. He said your cab driver's holding the ball too long. One more time here before we take our first. I'm going to put my hands here. Zander, put the plate of crow, please. Okay. I've come to the reality. Your roster is a Super Bowl roster. Your defense looks like a Super Bowl defense. Your running game is spectacular. Your O-line is amazing. And last night, your cab driver was exposed. Your quarterback. I'm here. There's my crow. You have a cab driver driving around a Bugatti. Oh, man. But, hey, your roster looks like a Super Bowl roster. It was a big win last night. Enormous. You grabbed the NFC East by the throat. It's a huge takeaway game. Huge. Now you're fighting for home field. You're fighting for NFC East supremacy. But you have a cab driver coaching or driving. Too inconsistent and too inaccurate. Sills, but wait a minute. He's got a good that guy is not accurate. He's just too inconsistent. His accuracy is inconsistent. The safety seemed to be the least talked about position on the team. What are your thoughts on a grade for them? If I were to put grades, the safeties last night, B+, the corners, A, the linebackers, A, the front four, A, the O-line, A, shit, the tight end. Hey, Calcaterra had the best non-catch game I've ever seen a tight end have by recovering that fumble. Unbelievable. I mean, one of the plays of the game. Wide receivers, kind of B. Quarterback, C-. C. We'll be fair. 1. So we'll give him a C. Funny. Everybody had a great game but him. Barkley, A. Shit, if you want to go A+, have at it. So wait a minute. Everybody gets B's and A's and A+. The quarterback gets a C for being what he is. Common. There you go. And, okay, a Super Bowl roster. There's my crow. I did what you wanted me to say today. Is that good enough? Okay? Or no? Or did you want something else? Okay, this is the first time in 35 years of broadcasting I gave you a little crow. Just to be fair here. Okay? Jalen played like shit, that is true. But cab driver? Yeah, maybe more like the movie Taxi. He's the bald guy? I thought that was Nick. Jalen's a winner. He's a caboose. Do you understand that Jalen Hurts is the caboose on a train? Barkley's the engine. He's the caboose. You know the little red engine thing or the little boxcar you have on the back of the train and that big old engine's up front? Well, you got a big old number 26 as your engine. And the little caboose, what's Hurts' number? Is it 1? I don't even know. Is it 1 or 2? Or is that Slay? I think Slay's 2. Okay? Hurts is a caboose. He's a caboose. Hey, I posted this. Hey, Sills, how bad do those Miami players look complaining? Okay, they're all bitching about Vic Fangio. I posted that. I go, talk about a loser mentality. But then again, you got a head coach that carries a Hello Kitty backpack around. I don't know, man. You might want to check that soft-ass culture down there. Hey, look, see my Hello coming. Hey, if a head coach carries a Hello Kitty backpack, I'm out. Crow played next to Sills. It got me rolling. Always Sunny. See you any John Gruden clips watching the Eagles game now that he has on Barstool? John Gruden, he's going to coach again. He says the callers on WIP ripped him a new one when he was the OC. Hey, well, dude, hey, being a 10-win team in Philly is not good enough. And being the caboose on a Super Bowl roster is not good enough. Your quarterback's a caboose. The caboose. All right, I got to take have I taken a timeout yet? Okay, have I taken a time? I don't think I have taken one yet. Definitely not good enough. You're right. He's not good enough. Saquon is the difference on offense. I was dead wrong about him. Me too, DRC. Nit Reich on Barkley. Never thought I'd see the day. Hey, DRC, I didn't believe it either, man. He was not this guy in New York. And, hey, Prince, it may have been you. Hey, Prince, are you in here? Show your stupid face. Prince, I think you said this, Prince. Sills, he's going to be better with better players around him. And I was like, well, Henry carried the Tennessee Titans and shit. It's true. Okay? It's true. A stupid-ass comment. That's dumb. How stupid do you have to be to think New York and Philly would produce the same Barkley? Senor, good players elevate shitty organizations. Joe Burrow and Daniels have elevated their teams to being better. Washington's been a train wreck for 20 years, and they were in a game last night that mattered for the division lead. When's the last time that happened? The only reason that happened is because of that kid. Joe Burrow's turned the Bengals around, you ass bag. This guy, Senorita, he's the dumbest dude in here. Next is Dick Train. What kind of properties are you talking about? Christian McCaffrey carries the 49ers too. Okay. Right? Purdy's a caboose? Not so much. He's kind of like the second engine behind the first engine. There's usually two engines on one of them long trains. Hurts is the caboose. Okay? Hurts is the caboose.